What's going on, guys? In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make these things in STORMWORKS. And I already tried making this video once. It was today that I tried to make it. Things did not go according to plan because, well, these things require a lot of trial and error, but I think I can at least get a video out to show you guys how, like, electrical and, like, all the other stuff to make the vehicle work at least. But probably not something that's gonna look like these. The looks you're probably gonna have to come up with on your own, but the underside or like the skeleton of the vehicle, I hope I can at least help you guys out with that and get them to look like these. Because your guys' builds are amazing and I would hate for you guys to watch my tutorial and have it end up ruining one of your vehicles. So if this does that, I apologize for that. I also apologize for the lack of posting. My computer ran into a problem and was really glitchy for a while. It corrupted one of my videos when I went to go and edit it, so that was unfortunate. And yeah, I just now got it to where it's at least tolerable, so if there's any lag, that's why. But yeah, with all that said, I'm going to stop yapping and I'm going to show you guys how to, well, get the, like, basics of these vehicles working. So if you are going for a electric motor build, it's super simple, no super high tech or anything like that. But if you're trying to go for a modular engine build like Sparky or the Dominator 3, it's these vehicles that require so much trial and error, and I absolutely freaking despise it. Simple, utter nightmares. I am not even kidding. So do not, and I say this, do not ever get discouraged in this game. That it requires a lot of trial and error to get this to work with an airbag system in a vehicle with limited space. Whereas with these, look, just this teeny, look, that's all I need for my airbag system. That. It's 1 block thick in height. How simple. Like, oh my gosh. When I designed airbags, because I'm the one who made this style of airbags, when I was the one who made it, this is what it originally was for. And so it's like, ah, yes, this works great. I don't have to have this freaking piece of transmission line that runs from the front to the rear. They can just be separate. And then you make a modular engine vehicle and it has to have this stretching from the front all the way to the back, and it just makes it a huge nightmare to work with. Not to mention that you also have to have your engine above your wheels, or else there's no, the engine hits the floor, and that's not what you want. So, or the wheels get in the way of the engine. So I'm going to stop yapping. So I'm going to show you guys at least how to make airbags work with a modular engine. And I'm going to just make a chassis, and you guys can copy off that chassis, and then from there you can build up off of that chassis. You can even change some of the things on the chassis if you want, but from there, that's where you can start putting on something like your body. Always make your chassis first, because you get to making your body of the vehicle and it looks so cool, and it gets ruined by the chassis because the chassis requires so much freaking work. If you use modular engine, if you use electric motors, great. Really allows you to make your body however the heck you want, and there's not really anything preventing you from doing cool shapes like that. Whereas in these, trying to make cool shapes and all the other stuff becomes a lot harder. So let's just get into it. I need to stop yapping. Okie day. So we're gonna come in here. We're going to click new vehicle. It gives us this white block right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the move thing up here at the very top. We're gonna move this down to probably about there, and we're going to make this. I don't know how big we want this chassis. This is another thing you want to consider when making a vehicle. Again, this is the part where you can adjust it. So I'm gonna put this at the minimum in length that we can get this. So width, all my vehicles, I try and make them about 9 blocks wide. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Why? Because whenever you go to put a seat in, whoa, I flipped upside down. A seat takes up 3 blocks in width because they're pretty chunky. So because of that, we're going to, let's make this chassis, let's make it gray. There we go. I'm gonna make the seat, we can make that this color, I suppose. And we're just going to give it a body, or at least something to sit on, like that. Okay, so we have this, we have our width. Our length, on the other hand, we're going to want to put in a transmission. Alright, so I'm going to start off with the transmission because this can be mounted level with the wheels, if that makes sense. So the wheels need to be, I don't know, they need to be out of the way. So what we're going to do, this is a good example, I'd say. So this, when you click on merge, this is going to be your body. So we're going to give it just a little cab, and it's just going to sit here and be our little cab for our vehicle. This is an example, okay? This could have been so much more in depth, but I lost a whole bunch of energy trying to do that first cut, and it didn't work. I was originally going to make a TAV, realized that putting a modular engine in the TAV, since it's so small, was not going to happen. So yeah, we're doing this now. Okay, we are starting off with the transmission and wheels. So seats here, we're going to make it to where the transmission can go up a block. So we're going to put the transmission here. Transmission is fairly easy to build. You're going to go to your inventory, you're going to type in gear, you're going to grab, I don't know why you'd ever need a gearbox bigger than a 1x1, but who knows. You're going to take that 1x1 and you're going to place the first one. Your motor's going to be over towards the front of the vehicle. Your clutch is towards the rear. So you want your, towards the front of the vehicle, you want this first gearbox to be pointing towards the engine. And the other 4, you can shorten these down if you want. You can have it just be reverse gear and then first gear. This is a 4-speed transmission. But anything past reverse going to the wheels needs to be facing to the wheels. So the only thing that needs to be facing towards the motor is reverse. And then at the end of these, again, however long you wish to make the transmission, you need to put a clutch in. You're just going to type in clutch. Whoops. And you're going to just put that on the end. Doesn't matter which way it's facing so long as it's going lengthwise and not this way, but I feel like that's pretty obvious. Anyway, so now that you have that going that way, we're going to put in a battery while we're here. Your vehicle needs a battery regardless of what you do, unless you want to use infinite electric. I'll put the battery here. And now we're going to put our 3x3 suspension wheels in. You can use a whole bunch of different wheels, but this is this, I'd say, normal wheel. You're gonna grab some pipes. I'm gonna grab basic pipes. You can use the enclosed ones. The enclosed ones work, but for the video, I'm gonna use the open ones so you can actually see them better. I'm also going to paint the transmission orange so you guys can see it better. I'm going to paint everything colored. You can paint them whatever you want, but for the video, I'm going to paint them to what I feel like they should be painted. So orange is going to be our drivetrain. So we're going to bring this down over to here. We're going to add a T-piece in our transmission here because this is where our wheels are going to be. So I'm not having these wheels be that color. So we're going to put this wheel here, and we're going to put this one here. You might notice, if you just do that, and then just call it a day, you might notice, why is my vehicle, oh, I made this too long, oops. I made this vehicle a bit 1 block too long. Oopsie daisies. But with that wheel, you might notice, whenever you go try and drive it, why isn't it moving? Or why is this wheel going opposite of that one? Because when you place this wheel, the positive motion is facing that way, and the positive motion in this one's facing that way. Before you place that wheel, whenever you go place it, it tells you which way it's going to be facing. Click U, and it will invert that wheel. So now that wheel is facing forward. So that's a little nice. And now we're going to probably grab a angled pipe. Gonna select our colors orange here. We're gonna grab our angled pipe. We're gonna come up at least, at the very, very least, this has to come up, I think there, and if not higher, because, yeah, it actually has to come up one more because the bottom of the engine can't go lower than the wheels. Okay, so we're gonna do that. And now I'm going to build a engine. Okay, so you're gonna type in mod in your inventory. The first thing you're gonna want to grab is where's it at? A modular engine cylinder and a modular engine drive belt, and then a modular engine crankshaft. Mostly the crankshaft and the cylinder for now. We're gonna be putting a boxer 4-cylinder in here, the smallest engine I know how to make. So that way it's the smallest motor I have, and you guys should be able to hopefully put this in your build since it's smaller. You can make this bigger. The way you increase cylinders is simple. You just add another crankshaft. So for example, now there's 4 blocks worth of crankshaft, which means I can put this here and this here, and then this and this here. So now it's 8 cylinders right here. So now I'm going to erase these. So what you're gonna want to do when you place these crankshaft, make sure they're pointing where the crankshaft itself, that inner piece right here, this little inner piece right there, you want to make sure that that's pointing front to rear, or yeah, front to rear of your vehicle, and not side to side like that, because then all your crankshaft is facing the wrong way. Your cylinders are going to want to be mounted to this plate, not this. This is not where the cylinders go. This is where the cylinders go. So you're going to want to mount your cylinders like that. Grab your drive belt, and you're going to mount it to the crankshaft. So you're just going to mount it right there. All right, now that we have that, I'm going to actually, from here, I'm going to run this down right quick. Get my wheels in place, just so I can have oh boy, oh my goodness, so I can have a general idea as to how I want these to be. See how this is facing the wrong way again? Just click U, and they're facing the right way. Okay, so now I have a visual idea. Yeah, this seems about accurate. We're actually going to add this in here for support. Alright, so now what we're going to do is come in here to our, what are we looking for? Yeah, we want to go back to mod. Okay, so we can get rid of these, we can get rid of the pipes for now, we can get rid of the wheels. So now what you want to do, go ahead and grab an exhaust manifold, an angled and a straight. You're also going to want to grab a starter, a fluid pump, and a alternator. These 3 things require the belt pulley. These are the only belt-driven things in the game, I believe. You're going to take your starter. You can put any of these anywhere around this pulley, so long as the belt on the starter, alternator, or fluid pump is wrapped around the pulley. So we're going to put the starter here. We're going to put our alternator on this side, and we're going to put our fluid pump on top. That gives us enough space to work with our cooling system. So now that we have these things put in place, we're going to take our exhaust manifolds and we're going to put them from one bank of cylinders to the other. The reason you want to do this is because if you don't do this, one bank of cylinders is going to be different than the other. So one bank isn't going to get fuel and one isn't going to get air. Why? Well, because when we move on to this next step, which is our fuel manifold and air manifold, when we come down here, we mount our fuel manifold pointing, I guess, backwards. As you can see, look at the manifold. It matches the head, the cylinder head. So you're just going to want to make sure that that's pointing up at the cylinder and not like that, because that's not what you want. So once you've done that, I would say put your fuel manifold facing backwards so then you can run it to like your fuel tank or whatever. I'm just going to grab a small tank and have it run to that. So there's a good example. This little hole here needs to be on the fuel manifold, or from a pipe wired to the fuel manifold. Just has to be connected to the fuel manifold somehow. Then we're going to want to take our air manifold and we're going to want to put him, well, we can put him somewhere that would be good. So really anywhere. We can put him here, and we're going to grab a filter, an air filter. We're going to put it on front of the air manifold, or on the air manifold rather. That's it for your air manifold and fuel manifold. Now, what you're going to want to do, type in modular again. Now, we've already placed everything we need for our motor itself, but now what we need is something to control it, a brain for it. And after that, I'm going to get to the cooling of the motor. So for the brain, you're going to want to go to this ZE Modular Engine Controller. This is not going to be in the game. This is a mod, and I will link this mod down in the description. Amazing mod. None of my vehicles would work the way they are without this mod. So thank you to whoever made this. You freaking rock. You guys did amazing. Or you. I'll have to check if multiple people made this. I'm pretty sure they did, but maybe it was just one person. Point aside, this is a great microcontroller, and you need this. It already comes pre-wired and everything on the inside, so you just gotta connect it to your engine. So what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to take this, put it somewhere on your vehicle. I'm just going to mount it to the bottom of our cab here, and we're gonna place it there. Then you're gonna click on logic at the top. You're going to start off with this node, I guess, the crankshaft RPS node, and you're going to wire it to one of your crankshafts. Could be any of them, just have it be one of them. You're going to wire your on-off to your seat or toggle button or whatever you want to turn your starter on. So your on-off needs to go to that. I'm going to have it set to our trigger space on the seat. So that means when I click space, it's going to toggle the starter. So we're going to label that starter. And then we're going to come to this smaller little red node that says starter on it. What's nice about this controller is they're all labeled, so that is really, really nice. You're going to take the starter node and wire it to our starter. The fuel manifold goes to our fuel manifold, and the air manifold goes to our air manifold. Pretty explanatory. I have never found a need for this. I don't even fully know what this does. So this node can, at least in my case, be completely ignored. I'm sure this probably serves some amazing purpose, but I don't use it. So, kind of a waste of a node, unfortunately, and I feel bad for that. But this is the last one you want, well, second to last one you want to worry about. Again, this one I don't use, but there's one hidden here. I'll get to that in just a second. But this one goes straight to your W and S because this is your throttle. This is going to tell your engine how much throttle you're applying. This can go to your W and S or a throttle lever if you want to use a throttle lever. Now, as for the final node in this controller. It's hiding from you because if you look here, oh look, there's this empty space here. Why is that? Probably just so I could add that. Nope, this is all their space is used wisely. So what is quote unquote hiding from us here? If you come over here to the very far left of your screen, you have data nodes, composite nodes, electric nodes, video nodes, audio nodes, and rope nodes. If you come to composite, there's this little purple guy hiding right here in the controller. Cylinder, you wire him to any of the cylinders in your engine, just one, doesn't matter what side, just wire it to one. Once you've wired it to one, this whole microcontroller is done. Now you can come over here to your electric nodes, grab your battery, hold control is a nice little tip. If you hold control and select a node, it will go, it will like still grab hold of this one, but if you don't hold control, look, it lets go. So then I'll wire it and then it disappears and I gotta go back to what I was wiring it to and then drag it again. So just hold it and then hold control and then you can wire it or unwire it from whatever you want. Just a little tip. Okay, so now that we have that, our engine and transmission are just about done. I'm actually going to start putting in our tracks, aka airbags. So we're going to, let's see, where am I going to mount these? Well, no, you won't have enough room. Okay, we can come from the chassis, come over to here. Again, this is just to get the tracks aligned. All right. So we'll put a track extension. That is not an extension. Okay, we'll put an extension here and here. And then the track itself, the base, we'll put it here and here. And make sure your plus arrows are pointing, upwards. Make sure they're pointing upwards, not down. Once you've done that, you can take this and wire it to, once you've placed your track, that will give you a separate entity. You're gonna place blocks on that separate entity until you get to your chassis. Then you're going to merge those blocks to the rest of your build. In this case, it's not allowing me because the wheel doesn't count as a solid object, but you just do that. Once you connect it, you can remove this. You can even remove this. Oops, not the track itself. You don't want to remove that. But you can remove the stuff, like the extensions that we use to connect them. You can remove those. Just so long as the track itself is the same merge as the rest of it, it's fine. So we're going to add these, but on the back. So let's go ahead and do that right quick. Alright, let's just see. Nope, I can't attach it to this because these don't count as solid objects. If I remove this pipe and I place a block here, bam, I can merge it. And then I can remove that block and put a pipe back in its place for how it was originally. Heck, now I can even remove this. I don't need this anymore. I just need the tracks. That's it. So now that that's all done, you can also have these connected. You don't have to do what I did. Again, there are so many ways you can change this. You do not have to copy my exact thing. These are examples. Don't even have to follow them. Okay, so now that we've done that, now we will go into what it takes to make a transmission work. So as I had said earlier, make sure that your reverse gear is pointing towards your engine and the rest of your gears are pointing towards your driven wheels. Now you're going to go to your select tool at the top, you're going to select reverse, and you're going to make sure that the on ratio is 1 to -1 and the off ratio is 1 to 1. Then everything after that, all your driven gears are going to be the exact same. On ratio is 1 to 1 and off ratio is 9 to 5. All the way from gear 1 to however many gears you want. You can have one gear. It's It's up to you. Now here's where things really start to get annoying, is when you're making this transmission controller. Okay, so you are going to start off with zip. You're gonna have nothing. You're gonna start off with this. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the logic. I think you might start off in properties, yeah. But what you're gonna do is you're going to have the width be, you're gonna make it be 5, or maybe you want the width to be 5, or the length to be 5, the width to be 2, but I would do 2 length and 5 wide. Name it oops, caps lock. Name it trans for transmission. And then what you're going to do after that is go to logic. You're going to add 6 nodes. So you're going to add 6 nodes here. I should probably not stack them all like that. So start off with 1, then add another. And you drag it, and you add another. And you drag it, and you add another. And you just keep on doing this until you fill up this amount of slots, like that. Now, you're going to have 1. Now, you're going to have 6 of these set to these on-offs, but you want them to be outputs, not inputs like they're currently set to. So we're going to set all of these to outputs, output, and output. Now we're going to come up here to, let's see, which one's this? What's nice is whenever you left click on one of these, it tells you which ones they are. So this one, we're going to want him to be a number, and we're going to want him to be a input. And this one, we're going to want to be a number as well, and we're going to want him to be a, let's see, output. There we go. Okay, here's where you start naming them. So this one on the very far right, we're going to want to name him R for reverse. The next one you're going to want to name G1 for gear 1, and then G2, G3, oh my goodness, and finally G4. And G-Dalla. No, G4. And you can keep on going for as long as this allows you. So, I think that's what, 6? Yeah, 6. So you can have up to 6 gears with one microcontroller. So, or less, you can have 1 gear if it makes it easier. So now that you have all of these wired or named, now you're gonna go to logic, and you're gonna start off with this pile. You're gonna grab one, and you're gonna grab one of them at a time, and you're just gonna start separating them like that. Reverse needs to be over here. Oh, come back over to here. Name your numbers. Name the bigger one, the input node. Name him, I believe it is, oh, what was it? Was it seat for the bigger one? Yeah, and then the smaller one needs to be gears. The smaller one's gonna go to a dial, so that way you know what gear you're in. This one's gonna go to your seat, so you can control the whole transmission itself. So our seat needs to be over here, and our gear needs to be down here out of the way, just like that. All right, now that we have our stuff here, you're gonna wanna go in here to logic gates, grab 3 things: an up/down counter, a threshold, and a pulse toggle to push. So what you're going to do first is grab a threshold. You're gonna place it here. You're gonna place 2 here. Move him. We're gonna select these. Ooh, wait, I thought I selected all of them. There we go. All right, and we're gonna move these over a little bit. Okay. Then we're gonna grab our pulse toggle to push. We're gonna place 2 of these down, and we're going to put them there. We're going to grab our seat node, wire it to each of these. We're going to grab our thresholds and wire it to those like that. We're then going to grab our up and down counter, and we're going to put that there. This is going to go to the up on our up and down counter. This one's going to go to the down on our up and down counter. And the reset is completely, we don't even care about that as of right now. And then we can wire, let's see, the value, we can wire that to there. Yeah. There we go. All right, so now what we want to do is come to our thresholds here. We're gonna have this one have a low threshold of 1 and a high threshold of 1. This bottom one's gonna have a -1 low threshold and a -1 high threshold. Come over here to our up and down counter. The increment is going to be increased by 1. The reset value is 0. Our clamp, we're going to have that enabled. Our minimum value is going to be -1 because we have reverse. And our maximum value is going to be 4 because we have 4 gears. We're then going to grab threshold gates again. Oops, let's not get rid of it. Okay. We're going to grab however many to gears we have. Okay. We're then going to grab our value and we're going to attach it to each of these like that. All right. So this one needs to have a high threshold of, I believe it's -1. Oh, no. A high threshold of 4 and a low threshold of -1. Yes. Okay. So each of these are all going to have a high threshold of whatever your highest gear is. So since our highest gear is 4, all of these are going to be set to 4 for their high thresholds. Then their minimum threshold is going to be what that actual gear is. So reverse is -1, gear 1 is 1, gear 2 is 2, gear 3 is 3, and gear 4 is 4. Just like that. In fact, now I'm looking at this, I could probably design this transmission with a 5th one and have it be G0 to where it's just neutral. That would actually be nice. So maybe I could start implementing that on some of my vehicles. But we're just gonna worry about this. You're gonna come in here, you're gonna save it, and then after that, you're gonna click back. Now we have our glorious ugly mobile right here. Your guys' vehicles will look much better. Again, this is all examples. Then you're going to click on inventory. You're gonna scroll all the way down here to the bottom, and you're going to grab your, where's he at? Where's he at? There he is, transmission. Yippee! Also, the one I just recently made was a test one. This is the actual one, and I'm going to place this here right quick. All right, and then now I'm gonna double check them and make sure I didn't get anything wrong. Yeah, that's all correct. Oh, I'm sorry. The reverse, I knew I got something wrong. Make sure the reverse is set to a high threshold of -1 and a low threshold of -1. So -1 for reverse. Sorry about that. I'm double checking my actual microcontroller, making sure it's all set to the correct thing. Yep, clamps enabled, minimum of -1, maximum of 4. So the only thing I got wrong was the reverse gear, so I apologize for that. All right, now that we have our microcontroller, it's saved. We went in here, we grabbed it, and we set it on our vehicle. Now we can finally take the seat node, wire it to our up and down arrows, because up is for upshift and down is for downshift in my mind. You can have it be whatever you want. It could be toggle buttons. Well, I don't actually know how you get that to a toggle button since it's green, but whatever. Since it uses a green node, not a red one like a toggle button would. Anyways, I need to stop yapping. Holy cow. Anyways, once you wire this to the seat to whatever you want, again, perfectly your up and down arrows, take G4, wire it to the last one, G3, the next one, G2, the next one, G1. The second to first one, and reverse is the very first one closest to your engine. Remember that. This goes to a dial, and you just need to set that dial to -1 and then a 1, or in a 4, I guess, or however many gears you have. We're gonna grab a basic dial. We're just gonna put this on the dash. Again, you guys can make these things so much more realistic. I really hope this helps. It probably won't do anything, unfortunately, for you guys. I feel really bad doing this because I don't feel like I'm providing you guys enough information. But I am genuinely trying. So, yeah, I apologize. I'm just trying to give you guys the basics of this. Wire that to gear. Okay. And he's not gonna bugger off until he's like that. Okay, yeah. Alright. Now, all of this is all wired up. Now we need to wire up our airbags, and we need to wire up a cooling system for our engine, and I believe this is done. I'm going to try and mount a, how you say, like a body or like I'm gonna try and like surround the wheels, make it look a little bit better. But by the end of the day, this is basically what you want to come out like. You could probably drop this cab one more block and have this protrude into the cab by one block. It just won't make it look as cool. Because you'll have a nice gaping hole in the bottom of your cab, but again, just examples. Okay, let us grab a, oops, I'm gonna actually type in switch box instead. All right, so we're going to grab a switch box and a constant number, and we're going to place these somewhere on the build. Put 2 of them down because we need 2, and we're gonna put 1, right, a third one right down here. He is going to go to our alternator and our fluid pump. So you're gonna click on the select tool at the top, select him, output value, select it to 1, and then you're gonna drag him and you're gonna wire it to your alternator and your fluid pump. So that, what that does is instead of wiring these to your W and S, to where they're only going to be active when you're pressing W or S, now they're going to be active all the time. So it'll constantly be pumping coolant and electricity through your engine. Anyway, now we can take our select tool again, select one constant number that we place down, have it be -1, and the other one needs to just be 1. On our switch box, grab the off value and select it to -1 and our on value to 1. And then we grab our switch value and we wire that to those tracks we placed earlier. And then we can take this signal switch and wire it to our seat or toggle button or whatever you please. I label this airbags. Okay. Now we're gonna get our wheels fixed up right quick. We're gonna grab an inverter. Inverter. There we go. All right. We're going to grab an inverter and we're going to put it, I guess, right there. We're going to grab this. We're gonna wire it to this wheel and wire it to A and D, and then wire A and D to the other steering. Let's see if I was correct. Yes, I do believe I am correct. So the reason we did that whole inverter thing so fast, I apologize for doing it so quickly, but you want to do that because this wheel or this wheel, one of them, both of them are opposite of each other. And because of that, when you turn, they're both gonna go outwards or inwards. So you put the inverter there to make them fix that. Well, that guy is turning the correct place. All right, our inverter is in the correct place. Then we can wire A and D to the other wheel, not going through the inverter, then the wheel. So this wheel is gonna go from the seat to the inverter to the wheel, and then this wheel is gonna go from the seat to the wheel, no inverter. Now we have that done, we can come, let's see, yeah, so left click on the seat in the selection grid, go to your up and down arrows or wherever you labeled your transmission shifting, increase the sensitivity to 100% and make sure the mode is set to reset. If you do not have it set to 100% sensitivity, it is not going to shift your vehicle, so make sure it is set to that. Now that that's done, let's get a cooling system plumbed up into our engine right quick. Get rid of all of these, don't need these anymore. All right, so I brought in a sample engine. This uses these exhausts in comparison to that. I didn't think these worked, so I might actually have to go and fix that. But I brought this one in so I can take the cooling system from this one and put it onto this one. So let's first start off with our radiator. Make it blue like the other one so you can tell it's for the radiator. You're gonna wanna make sure when you place the radiator that these holes in the bottom of the radiator are on the bottom, or the holes in the radiator are on the bottom. Then you're going to go to modular again, and you're going to grab the, the coolant manifold, the modular engine coolant manifold. You're gonna mount him right here, or on any of the heads. Reason? He has one of these. See, that fits right on these heads, so he has to be put on a head, or else he's not going to work. You can then take this. Oops. You can then take this, put it there. We're going to take what looks, yep, that is a elbow end piece. This is called a pipe angle corner. We're doing this. We're going to take a water tank.
We're going to put it there. Or I guess it's a fuel tank, so it's a fluid tank. It starts off with diesel in it. Go to your selection tool, select it, and keep on going to the left until you see fresh water. All right, so now you know this has water in it. Also, make sure for your fuel tank it has diesel in it. Just want to make sure of that. I know it starts with diesel, but just make sure it has it. Then you're going to do a straight pipe piece. You're going to do angled pipe pieces up into here. I guess a straight piece, angled to get the bend, and then straight. Yep, that would be correct. And then here we're going to, on the side, we're going to bring this over to here. We're going to make it go that way, and we're going to make it go straight. Dang it. I knew this was going to get in the way. Also, let's keep this in mind. What exit is this? That is coolant exit A. This is coolant exit B. Good thing I caught that. So this modular coolant manifold needs to be facing the correct way. It has two outlets. Oops. It has two outlets. Outlet B and outlet A, or inlet and outlet. So it has coolant A and then coolant B. You want coolant A to be facing, it needs to be facing into fluid in. This is fluid out. This is fluid in. Fluid in needs to be coolant A. Okay, fluid in, coolant A. Okay, fluid out is on the coolant B side, so because it loops through the radiator and up there. And then also on the radiator, there's even a coolant. There's fluid A and then fluid B. Fluid A on this side, fluid B on that side. Anyways, this track is also in our way, so might have to move these tracks. Anyways, we're going to continue to place these. We're going to grab angled pipes from the other engine. And we're going to grab this, what is this called, a charger, I believe? Fluid pump, okay. So you're going to type in pump, and you're going to grab this little fluid pump here. And you're going to put him like this, with the thinner side pointing, pointing away from the radiator, the thicker side pointing towards the radiator. So you want the fluid out to be pointing towards the radiator, and fluid in to be pointing away from the radiator. After that, you're going to grab an angled piece, you're going to come up, you're going to grab this little angled corner piece again, to place them right there. Grab, I believe this is a gas release valve, yep. So just type in gas, grab that gas release valve, and then put him there. Let's see, double check. Yep, fluid A comes this way. Then you're going to type in air, and you're going to grab an air ram, and you're going to stick it. So long as he's lined up with that, it doesn't matter what this rotation you do, I just do it like that. The reason you have to do that is because that's where your coolant is going to get its air. So just like that. Now, we can remove this. Now we have plumbed up our cooling system. But see, this is where you start with chassis first, because look, we plumbed in our cooling system, and now we don't have a track there. So now we gotta put a new track in, which hopefully shouldn't be too hard, but we'll see. We're gonna go to track, and we're going to grab these. We're going to delete this guy, because we gotta relocate our two tracks. You could probably just put one track here. I just like to do two, because it makes them stronger. So we can just move them out to, gosh dang it. So we can just move these guys out to here, like that, make sure they're pointing upwards. And then we just got to merge the tracks to the engine. Okay, that one's merged. This one I'm gonna just come up towards the tank. Real. Right, and we can move these, okay. Alright, so there we go. Now the tracks are, our new tracks are in place. I'm actually gonna have to rewire these. Let's run our electric nodes to our stuff we just placed. You can take your fluid pump on off and wire it to your starter button on your seat. Same goes for your fan on off. So that way when you toggle your starter, those pumps will turn on to pump fluid through your coolant, to pump fluid through your engine. Now we have to grab this switch value and wire up these tracks again. Okay. Alright, I believe now that the car, this abomination, that unfortunately looks very horrendous. I do apologize for that. Again, just an example, you just really need the chassis. The chassis is all you really need, and this is all for a modular engine. If you did an electric motor, it'd be so easy. So this, let's just say, here, let's just remove this. I actually want that T-piece back, gosh dang it. Alright, there we go. So let's just say, for an electric motor vehicle, I would have these, okay, and I would get my motor. Alright. Bam. That's it. Then you wire this to WNS, and you just use infinite electric. It's that simple for an electric motor build. And then you take your tracks and you just gotta wire up to this. Look how much little space that takes instead of all of this. I don't know. So much simpler, but this just gives you more versatility. Now, we come into our select tool again. We select the ZE modular engine controller. We're gonna set our RPM throttle at 0. And we're going to take that and set it to 10, and our RPS throttle at 1. We're going to set that to probably 20 to 30. So I'm actually just going to do 20. We're going to take our mixture control and set it to air to fuel ratio. We're going to set our air to fuel ratio to be 14. And then we're going to just leave the other settings alone. In fact, if you want, you could even have it to where it'll shut down the engine if it overheats, but I'm just going to have it decrease the RPMs. Auto start if engine stalls. Yes, we want that. And I believe all the rest is correct. Okay, so now if we go ahead and spawn this, it should run and drive. That is, it's so much heavier on its right side, dang. All right. Oh. The way it's acting, it acts like it's a fuel issue. Is it because the tank's right up against that? Surely not. Surely this wouldn't make that big of a difference, if any difference at all. Okay. It's a diesel. When I turn on infinite fuel, it acts like it wants to start. No, not this problem. See, look. It no move though. Why does it not? Oh, I know exactly why it's not moving. Okay. Well, for starters, it's not moving because I never wired up the clutches. So, I never put a clutch on it. Oops. All right. So W and S needs to be wired to this clutch, and if you type in modular engine, you need to grab this 1x1 modular engine clutch, and you need to put it right where this pipe is. Oops. Oh my goodness. And you need to put it right where that pipe is. You need to put him right there. Then you're going to take his node and you're going to wire it to WNS. This is not, I do not think this is going to fix our fuel issue or whatever the heck's wrong with the engine. But this will fix what's wrong with it. This will fix what's wrong with the wheels. Yep, there we go. Alright, so we're moving. If I turn off infinite fuel, yeah, it dies. It dies instantly. So it's a fuel related issue, which most things in the game typically are fuel related. I don't understand that. It also isn't revving up properly either, which makes me believe that the fuel and air isn't being bridged across, even though it seems like it is. Come on, man. Like, you should be happy. You should be working in perfect harmony. Why are you not working in perfect harmony? Modular engines are a pain. Put that on a freaking shirt or something. I don't care. If I feel off. My point exact, I don't understand modular engines. Okay. Alright. We now have a running and driving thing, I suppose. There we go. I need to increase the... Here. It's also really out of control. But here's one of the benefits of making it this high above these wheels, is I can erase these. If I come back here to this, I can add this T piece in, and then run this pipe all the way up to here. Take this T piece out again, wire this to here. Bam, now we have all-wheel drive. That is a benefit. Okay, so I did something wrong when making the engine. Put that exhaust there, and then grab the modular engine manifold corner and straight and wire them from one head to the other. That way both sides of the motor are getting fuel and air. And you shall get a much, much better vehicle, or a much better engine at least. I'm going to go into the ZE modular engine controller, increase it to 30 when my throttle is at 1, just so in that way it isn't choking it as much. Here we go. And lovely, there's some magical tsunami probably, I'm calling it. Yep, tsunami, okay. I am so sorry guys, this video is an hour and 11 minutes in length, and I feel like I didn't even teach you guys anything, and I don't know if I like that. But that's how you wire airbags, an engine, a transmission, and all that other fancy stuff. Alright, another thing I'm going to leave a link for down below is this DYN Brack. This is made by... Oh... Dang it, I already forgot. Crap, even though I just looked at the link. Okay. But no, I'll leave a link for this in the description as well. It's the dynamic braking. You're going to want this to help stop your vehicle. This comes in handy a lot, actually. So what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to stick the modular, you're just going to stick the microcontroller there, go to logic. You're going to wire these to the wheels you wish to brake. In this case, it's all of them for me. W and S, you're going to wire it to W and S, and then you're going to want the sensitivity on W and S to be probably 50.
It'll give you a nice split. Now, one last thing to create a tornado sub vehicle is spikes. So I'm going to try and show you guys how to make spikes. Okay, so to make spikes, you're going to want to grab a track. You're going to want the track extension and then the track base, which I already have in my inventory here. You're then going to go ahead and grab a mag, more specifically the mag all. And again, here we go again with the custom microcontroller. This, however, is fairly simple. So what we're going to do is, well, in my case, I named it Dominator 3 Spikes because that was the first vehicle I ever made that used spikes. Anyways, go to logic. You're going to want a on off for both your output and input. Then go to logic inside the thing. And here I currently have a timer system rigged up. You don't have to do this. In fact, you can just take a toggle button and wire that straight to your spike, but I don't quite do that. I do this timer system. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your input, or in this case, what would be the, oh, what would this run to? This would run to your toggle button. So this would be to your button. This would go to your actual mag. So then you wire the button node to this timer ton, and then there's a second timer ton. You're gonna have two constant numbers. With this first timer ton, you're gonna have its duration be -1, so -1 seconds. The second timer ton, you're gonna have that set. Make sure these are both set to, and the units is set to seconds, by the way. Have your second timer ton be set to 2.5 on the constant number, and keep in mind, to whatever you increase this to, if I increase this to 30, this is going to give me 30 seconds before this thing finally triggers the magnets. I use this for buttons. Whenever I click like deploy airbags, I'll wire this to the same button as that. So here, we'll do this right quick. So let's give us an example. So let's put a spike. We'll just put a spike here and here, one on each side of the vehicle. And we'll put the, oops, and we'll put this here, and we'll put this here. We'll go to our seat, and this we'll put /spike. Oh my goodness. Okay, we'll put /spikes. And then we'll wire this to, well, the microcontroller that we have. So we're going to do spike. Here we go. Okay, we're going to put this somewhere in the vehicle. So right here will work. And then once we put that somewhere in the vehicle, we're going to take our mag-all. We're going to stick it on the end of our tracks on the separate point, not the track extension itself. Go to our electric nodes, wire these so they stop screaming at you with the warning button. Then you're going to go to your mag thing for on your spike controller, take the input and wire it to your airbags. Speaking of airbags, for your spikes, you're gonna want to do exactly what you did with your airbags, but for your spikes. Then we can, this is a mirror of our airbag system, but instead of going to the airbags, it's gonna go to, ta-da, our spikes. Also, when you click the select button, you can select the tracks, and if you decrease the gear ratio, it increases their speed, and if you increase the gear ratio, it decreases their speed. And if you click select and select this, and you click edit microcontroller, this is the spike microcontroller, we're gonna have the delay be 5 seconds instead of 2.5. And you click update and you click confirm. You can do this as much as you want. And the reason I'm having it be 5 seconds is because I'm going to slow the spikes deployment to 1/16 of a gear ratio. So now we can spawn this in. There's that tav shell I was originally working with. And if we click airbags, it should trigger the airbags and then the spikes. Okay, there's our airbags. Oops. Oh, I forgot. Oops. Okay. I did not wire that correctly. Okay. No, I had these set to the right thing. Oh. Well, for starters, it'd help if you connected your signal switch to your freaking seat. Alright, now when I deploy the airbags, it should deploy the spikes as well. There you go. Wait 5 seconds. Okay, yeah, the spikes are deployed. You just couldn't hear it because they're too far beneath the map. But they are deployed, so there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I do so much apologize for making this video. It is probably super crappy, didn't help you whatsoever, but I am hoping that it did help you because, man, I know that making a tornado interceptor means a lot to you guys. It means a lot to me to make a tornado interceptor, and so to see you guys not be able to make one makes me sad. So I really hope that you guys learned something out of this and are able to make your own tornado interceptor and can hopefully make can hopefully make a vehicle of your own. Huge shout out, by the way, to these people who recommended doing this. This video would not be possible without them because I would not have thought to do this. So I do thank you guys very much for that. And yeah, guys, do not forget how awesome you are at this game. You will get discouraged from this game. That is bound to happen, unfortunately. But do not ever let that stop you. Okay, guys? Just don't let it. You guys are awesome. Never give up. Man. Again, I apologize for the freaking crappy video, guys. Wasn't that great of a video, and you guys probably didn't learn much from it, but I can try. That's all I can really hope for. So, can we at least get somewhat of a tab out of it? Of my canceled or of my failed tab? Can I at least mount this to this? Oh, hold the phone. Maybe this wasn't so bad after all. Haha. Oh my goodness, I can actually mount this to this. The engine won't be able to go up any further than this, so the tab will have to sit this high off of the ground. Oh my goodness. But it will work. Won't it? Oh man. Oh, the shelf for tab looks nice. Oh man. It looks so awful. But yeah, something like that, guys. And look, it works. Oh, look, we got the bouncing car now. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I apologize for it being so long. I hope this helped you guys. Of course, make sure to like and subscribe if you want. You don't have to. This wasn't a great video, and who knows? You guys might love it, and I hope you do, but man, it probably wasn't all that helpful, but I hope it was helpful. This took hours to make, and it's probably going to take even more to edit, but thank you guys so much for staying here to the end. You should now have a vehicle with modular engine that works. It could all be so much more simple if you just use an electric motor, but I showed you guys how to make it. So with all that said, see y'all later in another video. I have been very anxious to make this video, but I made it anyway, so now I will be posting even more videos because yeah, I was anxious to make this. I've also been busy. Again, my computer also died, so that wasn't very helpful, but yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later in another video. Thanks again, guys. You guys are the best. Peace, guys. Don't forget you guys are awesome, and never give up.